everyone, welcome to another episode of The Joe Nasty Truth. Today we are here with my brother from another mother, soon to actually be brother-in-law, Anthony Awadala. Tony is, I'm going to call you Tony the rest of this time. So yeah. Tony is the owner of a company called Feel Right Media. Feel Right Media is a video production company, and Tony has worked with all kinds of different organizations, everything from fitness people to restaurants. He's helped me with my law firm videos. He's done a wide myriad of different types of companies. I know makeup companies. He's worked for UCI, colleges, and different universities. So he's really done the gambit of different video production work. Today we're going to be talking to Tony about what it means to be a video production company, how he helps people in this digital age where we're literally all locked at home and the only thing we can do is look at media, and he helps bring company stories to life. Tony has been doing this for a long time. He's worked for, I think, dozens of companies, maybe more than 100 companies at this point. And I'm very excited to have you here today. This is going to be a fun conversation.
Yes, sir.
And, yeah, thanks for being here, my dude.
Man, I've been waiting to be on the show.
Yeah.
I gotta admit, the nasty truth.
The nasty
truth. I'm ready to lay it down.
Yeah, man.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course, dude. Thanks for coming in today. Yeah, so, Tony, I know we've kind of talked a little bit about what you are and what you do. Yeah. But today I want to start off with, what does it mean to really run a video production company? What do you guys do, and what does that exactly entitle?
So video production is basically the consumption. I mean, in the simplest way, it's the producing of videos and being able to consume those videos, whether it's on a TV, at home, or on the internet. Yeah, so that's the best way to explain it very simply. But there's also different buckets of video production, right? You have film, which is basically like the making of movies, Hollywood.
Yeah.
And then you have events video production, which is like wedding videos, proposals, birthdays, that whole realm. And then there's the commercial side, which is where Feel Right Inc. is. And that's where we basically do most of our services and everything like that. And that is basically helping businesses with advertising, helping them produce commercials so that it fits into an actual a way to communicate the product or the service for that company.
Got it. Okay, so you're saying there's really three buckets kind of when you're looking at video production. First bucket is somebody calls you and they're like, hey, I need help maybe directing a music video, or I need help putting a story or doing a movie, right? And so you're helping them direct that.
Yeah.
Second bucket is events such as weddings or bar mitzvahs, or whatever, Hanukkah, whatever it may be.
Joe's very elaborate birthdays.
Yeah, that's always a good one every single year. And then the last one will be just like, helping people set up commercials, like whether it's, a restaurant, but all of these have different types of aspects that, involve directing, creating a storyline, and really helping people bring their story and what their messaging to life almost.
Exactly. And all of them have something in common, which is basically the 4-step process, which is like pre-production, which is basically the planning of the video. How do you want to make it? What's the goals of the video?
Yeah.
The production side, where it's actually the people who are there filming, whether it's a videographer or a production crew. And then post-production, which is the editing. You're stitching the story together. You're taking the footage, putting it together so that the video comes to life, the story comes to life. And then distribution. So like with wedding videos and events, it's a little different because, that's more of a personal thing, more of an intimate thing. You're not out there advertising the video. You're not out there distributing it. But for the commercial side, it's very important. And that's where I actually love it. Like that's where I love focusing most of our attention on, is like how can we get in front of the audiences that we want to be in front of for those companies. And there's social media advertising. There's different types of advertising. And then like on the film side, obviously you have movie trailers. There's a whole marketing side to the film industry as well with the making of movies. But again, my expertise is in that commercial side mostly, or actually I wouldn't say expertise, but where I spend most of my time focusing on. Other things I've dabbled in before, but I don't really advertise. It's not something that I focus on.
Got it. Yeah. So that's kind of like the 300 bird's eye view type of look of the whole entire project. So
yes.
I want to take a step back. So kind of, how did you end up in video production? I know your journey was not a typical journey. You didn't wake up one day and you're like, this is what I'm going to do with the rest of my life. I know you did a bunch of random jobs, and then you kind of ended up going on this special, journey, soul journey, where you ended up finding out what they were going to do. So what were you doing before video production?
So it's been, so I graduated from Chapman in 2012 from business. I actually got rejected from the film school. So I never made it to the film school, which is something I originally had my eyesight on, but I went to business instead. And then once I finished school, I was in this kind of weird area trying to figure out what I wanted, but I knew that, you know, I wanted to explore that field, the video and film industry, because it's always something I've been into since I was a kid.
Yeah.
But I was lost in regards to where to start because I didn't go to film school. So I interned for this production company, small production company in LA, and I learned a lot there. They did like specifically a lot of documentary filmmaking.
Yeah.
They did some commercials for like bigger companies like Red Bull, and like USC, like these different companies and organizations. So I learned a lot there for like 3 to 4 months, but I was interning. I didn't make any money. So I was like 23, you know, I wanted to do like things that were fun at that time. I wanted to go out and I wanted to plan for my future. So I needed to find a freaking job, basically. So I put my big boy pants on and was like, okay, I'm going to go get a job. So I went to corporate America, basically. I went to a company called Pacific Life.
Yeah.
And you know the whole story there, but I was there for 3 years. And the last 2 years out of the 3, I was pretty miserable. Right? I wasn't fulfilled. I felt like I was doing work that was meaningless to me. Like there was no purpose to it. And it was just a lot of, like I was going into work every single day, not really like knowing what I'm doing. What is this, what does this serve? Like what purpose does this serve for what my job is doing? And that unfulfillment, you know, it led to a lot of like soul searching and trying to find out what I wanted.
Did it just like feel unfulfilling just because you felt like you were another cog in the machine, right?
Yeah.
You didn't know what the hell you were doing. You weren't really providing a product to help people. You were just kind of trying to put money in your bank account, right?
Yes. So I was making a steady paycheck, but I was coming into work and doing the same thing over and over again. And I just felt like a monkey just punching like the keys, just like on the keyboard.
Gaga,
just goo goo gaga. Like it was like on repeat, like a wheel on a hamster.
Yeah.
And so again, I was trying to get out of that, and I was looking and searching. And that last year, I think it was 2015, while I was working at Pacific Life, I found a 1-year program at UCSD for app development.
Yeah.
So I thought I was gonna be the next Zuckerberg, you know? I was gonna make a new Facebook.
Yeah.
Put an app out. But I was really interested in the whole idea of app development. This is 2015 when like the smartphone was becoming very, very like, you know, it was an important part of everyone's life at that point. And I thought it would be a good skill to acquire. So I found that program in SD, and I would work full time in Orange County at Pacific Life and then commute to San Diego 2 times a week to go and finish out that 1-year program.
You know, I remember this.
Yeah.
You were going down there quite regularly.
So like I was pushing myself to really find something that I wanted. That program ended up being a failure, actually. Like I finished the program. I went the whole year, but like it just didn't work out. It was the first year they did that program, and I learned a lot. There was things that I definitely can apply to what I have now today. Yeah. But it was just so much work put into something that didn't really provide a return.
So the program shut down?
No, it didn't shut down. It just
you didn't find the ROI.
Exactly. It was like the first year they rolled out that program at UCSD.
Yeah.
So they weren't sure like what was really happening in terms of what the result would be.
Yeah.
So we were kind of like guinea pig. Anyways, I know some people did have some value in it, but there was like a 10-person cohort, and I was the only, like I felt like it just was kind of a failure in my eyes.
Got it.
I am hard on myself too. I'm sure it was some type of success, but anyways, I ended up like just getting to a point where I felt so like I hit my breaking point. So I finished that program and I just straight up quit from Pacific Life. I was like, I can't work here anymore. Like there's no point of continuing this. And I know you're supposed to plan, you know, before you quit, but I was like, I'm going to do the opposite. Like I just can't be here.
You're just going to quit and go for it.
Exactly. So I quit and I did this whole like self-journey sabbatical. Basically, I went and I booked a 1-way ticket to Europe and basically did a lot of soul searching there. I had like basically a really I had to be alone and learn a lot about myself. And in that process, it was like the best thing I ever did, I feel like, because I came back from that trip, that 1-month trip, of just traveling around Europe, and I was able to start Feel Right Inc. And also obviously find like your sister, who's, you know, I'm now marrying, and just that whole process of being able to like build up my business and fall in love with somebody, it all started. I feel like that was really important for me.
Well, let's go back to this trip. So you were gone, and you know when you're on this trip, right? And you said you did some like soul searching. Did you do like meditating every day, or like did you find yourself just like walking around coffee shops, going to museums? Like what were you doing when you were doing the soul searching? Because this has been something that's been like weighing on my heart for a while. I feel like I need to just kind of get out of Dodge and go visit. And I'm thinking about going to Rome is like where I want to go. And so I'm just like, what were you doing during the day? Because from what I understand, when people just up and quit, they sometimes get stir crazy because you know you don't have work.
Yeah.
So like, what were you doing?
Yeah. Well, I'm the type of person who, you know, it's like, I was stuck in this thing for like 3 years. I felt like I was really stuck in a routine, in a place where I was not happy. And I didn't really get to see much of anything outside of that. So when I my idea was to shock my system. I wanted to shock like everything that I know and just put myself out there in an uncomfortable situation. I had never really traveled alone. I had never really like, yeah, dude, that was like my first time really just traveling. Yeah. And I know that's different now because traveling is like, it's very easy. But like back then I felt like it was like something so foreign to me, being able to travel on my own. So when I would go there, you know, I did the whole thing where it's like, I don't want to plan anything. I don't want to pre-plan my trip. Yeah. I just want to go there and just see where the wind takes me. And that's kind of how it was. I would go from like one major city to another. I had to figure out how to like, you know, do transportation, how to figure out how to, you know, just eat and just live on your own. And I was out there for a while. So that whole process, like these sound like things that are just very basic, but like you really start to like get comfortable with yourself. You know, you're in an uncomfortable situation. You don't really know what's going to happen. And that whole idea, it just feels like it's new. It's like you're becoming comfortable with yourself. And I believe those day-to-day little like nuances and just things that happen like that really made up for this kind of confidence that I feel like I was lacking. And
yeah.
But yeah, you know, like I remember, for example, I had to go from Amsterdam to Berlin, and the only way that I was able to figure out transportation was to use this one app. It's kind of like a carpool app. You basically, there's a driver and he offers up his seats for a certain price to anybody, like any stranger. So there's like 4 different seats in that car, and they're each like $20-$30, and it takes you from one place to another. So I was like, okay,
that's pretty cool. So if you want to go like further, you guys can just split the seats in the car.
Well, that one, yeah. So on the app, people put out their routes of where they're going, right? And this dude was in particular going to Berlin, and that's where I needed to go. So I asked, you know, I was like, can I buy one of your seats? And he's like, sure. I have one available. And so it was like the car was maxed out, 5-person car.
Got it.
And I'm leaving Amsterdam because this is the only form of transportation at this point that I can really take without, you know, breaking the bank, because I was on a certain budget.
Yeah.
And I was like, this could go 2 ways.
Yeah. You're
this
either
guy
gonna be in a
can
car
take
with
me.
like serial killers or something, or you're gonna meet some cool people in this vehicle.
Yeah, exactly. So like nobody knows each other. They're all in the same car.
Yeah. Does everybody at least speak English?
No. So that's the other part.
Like, no. So it's like socially awkward, just like sit in this vehicle.
Yeah. But with that, like we were able, it's funny because like you meet people who don't speak the same language as you, but you still find a way to communicate.
Yeah.
And like that whole like process too was like really cool. Like, you know, I was like, wow, like it just opens your mind, expands your perspective. So when I was in this car, you know, that first hour, it was kind of uncomfortable. We're driving by these really big, tall, dark forests that look like somebody can just take a left turn and no one would ever see me again.
And that's the end of that.
Yeah, that's the end of that. But
you know, your story. Don't feel right, Ink.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel bad.
Dead end. Ink.
Yeah, dead end.
Yeah. So, anyways, it was cool because after that hour of discomfort, we were able to, you know, start communicating with each other. You know, the people that did speak English or didn't speak English would try to speak English, and it was cool because at the end of the trip, we felt like there was this bond, and then I was able to get to that destination and continue my adventure.
How long was this drive?
6 hours or 5 hours?
Okay, that's not horrible. So you weren't in here for like a couple days with these people.
Yeah. And then just like slumming it, like, you know, like in some situations, going to hostels, you know, sleeping in the same room with like 13 people.
Oh, wow.
Like it's just
Was
super.
your stuff safe, or did you feel that your stuff was safe?
Never.
Never.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, obviously, you know, it was a good learning experience and a
Yeah.
positive one. And I think that's the case for most
Did you
people.
like sleep on top of your laptop and stuff?
Yeah, dude, there was definitely some grimy situations, and then there were some good ones. You know, I did, like, if I would go for like a whole binge of just kind of slumming it, I would then kind of splurge on like some luxury.
Yeah,
you
you'd
know?
stay like at a nice hotel
Yeah.
like one day, and then the rest of them you'd be staying in like chill places or like hostels.
Yeah, exactly. And it was, and again, you're like living off of like, you know, things that you can buy for like $2-3 a day. Again, I was a younger kid. It's not like
Yeah.
how we are now, but
Yeah.
you know, like it's a different it's a different
I'm sure
perspective.
it was much more exciting that
Yeah.
way too.
Exactly, and it's something I wouldn't do again ever. But like, it's something that I felt like was so necessary to do.
But you wouldn't do it again in like, you would go, but you'd stay in like hotels this time.
Yes,
But like you,
more.
but you would do a trip like that. Would you go just somewhere by yourself again and just travel for a while?
No, because I did it already. I mean, I do all the time for work now.
Yeah.
I go travel, but like that type of trip, I don't think I'll ever get to do again in my life. Like, I don't think I will do it the way that I did it. It was just perfect timing, really. I mean, like, you talk about how it's something you would like to test yourself to do.
Yeah.
There are different ways to do it. I mean, like, you can go and you could really, you know, kind of just have like this adventure for yourself that I'm not going to plan anything and I'm going to see what happens.
Yeah.
It's harder to do that when, you know, when you actually have shit to do.
Yeah.
You have a company to run.
That's fair. Yeah.
You know?
I got stuff I actually got to attend and
Yeah.
be at. Yeah.
But you know, there's things you can do for like humanitarian causes. I feel like, I mean, I know like Tiffy, for instance, your sister, she went and she did work and she helped kids, you know, teach them how to teach them in India.
Yeah.
And that whole process was very liberating for her. And
Yeah.
like, people do things like that, humanitarian causes. So I think there's different ways to go about it, but yeah, that was really important for my development.
Yeah.
When that happened during that time period.
Did you make most of your friends like at the hostels and like
Yeah.
that's like where you like met people mostly? It wasn't just like, you know,
Yeah.
walking around or anything?
Well, there were situations where we did. I mean, like we did some pub crawls, and I met a lot of people there.
Yeah.
But most of the time, it was like hostels, because there's a community area, commune area where everyone like goes to join, and you can go do activities there. Actually, I love hostels, dude.
They were
Like,
fun.
they were so much fun. I would maybe like to go back to like a nice hostel at some point and maybe do something like that again.
Yeah.
I can see myself going back, because hostels are a pretty fun place, like,
Yeah.
for social gatherings and meeting new people. And then also like walking tours, when I would go and want to see like a certain city and want to go on the walking tour, I would meet people there as well. And I would just put myself out there. I would go and try to introduce myself, like people at coffee shops. It really, like, I had no choice but to communicate with people. It's like,
Yeah.
you can be really silent for a long time.
Yeah.
And be like, sometimes I needed that, where it was just like that break of just needing my silence, and not talking to people. Because I remember booking a place in Amsterdam, but it was like in the forest of Amsterdam, like kind of the outskirts.
Yeah.
And it was so peaceful. Like, I had just done that after like a whole social, the whole week of social like gatherings in Paris. So
Got it.
I was in Amsterdam for a couple of days in a more remote area, and I liked it a lot because it was super peaceful.
Yeah.
So it's fun. It was really fun. And again, I was able to, you know, position myself for success when I came back.
That's awesome. Very
Mhm.
cool. And so you went on this trip, basically did some soul searching, met a
Yeah.
lot of cool people, saw a lot of cool things.
Yeah.
Then you came back and you're like, no, did you like know on the trip that you wanted to come back and do video production? Or like, was
Yes.
that something before you came back, or like, did it happen after you made it?
It's a good question. I think while I was out there, I found myself writing a lot. So I was really into writing at one point.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember, but I was writing for like Elite Daily, and I did a couple for Entrepreneur Magazine and Cosmopolitan. That period of time, or sorry, not Huffington Post, I was
Yeah.
writing a lot. And I think because I was like feeling a lot inside in myself because of like what I was going through, that like loss in my life, I was able to write really cool articles, and a lot of them got like thousands of shares, and obviously they were doing well on those publications.
Yeah.
So I found myself being really creative while I was on that trip. And I also had my GoPro. So I was like filming and documenting a lot of things. And I know there it was like kind of reigniting this lost love for creativity, because I was always creative as a kid and like gravitated towards that. So I felt all of those things coming, like kind of just, burning inside. And when I came back, that's where I had most of my focus. It was like, I need to revisit, places where I kind of put on the side in the back burner. And that was video, that was writing. It was just more of the creative side, because I was coming from a world that was super, just administrational.
Yeah.
And I did not want to deal with that.
A bureaucracy.
Yes.
Yeah.
I wanted to rebel and revolt.
Yeah.
And
Revisit, go do your own thing.
And revisit the things I love.
Yeah. Got it. So you come back. Now you started Feel Right Inc., Feel Right Media. Is it Feel Right Inc. or Feel Right Media?
Feel Right Inc. I think you're going to have to do that intro over again.
Yeah, probably going to have to restart the whole entire thing. We're going to need to start the whole thing.
For sake of clarity.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I mean, I like the name, man. I mean, like, branding is everything, right? It's super important. And, Feel Right Inc., it's just like you're trying to have, you're trying to convey messages that allow the people's customers to feel right or feel good, right? And so it's great because it kind of talks about what you do. And I think that's important also. I mean, that's part of the reason I changed the name to Accident Lawyers Firm, right? It's like, what do we do? What are we about? And, that's more of a feeling, which I think I like better because it kind of describes, this is what we're going to help you do. This is what we're about. And, we're about making you feel good.
Yeah. I mean, you hit it on the head, exactly to why I made that name. It was, again, I was doing a lot of things that didn't feel right.
Yeah.
And I made a promise to myself that I would focus on only things that, feel right to myself. And that's kind of how the name got developed. And it started off as really just a place where I made this site called Feel Right Inc. And most of the things I put on there were things I loved doing, like writing, music, video. And it developed into this company where it was strictly on video, obviously, in marketing. But it started there. Like that was really the birth of it.
So we've talked about how you ended up getting into this. That journey is pretty wild. I mean, I didn't know a lot of those details, and I definitely am going to pick your brain a little bit later too. I kind of want to hear some more like weird stories and just like adventures that you went on.
Dude, we can go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, we can go down that rabbit hole. But I want to kind of gear back towards, we're talking about video ads, right? And I think we live in this digital age where, if you have a business nowadays, you need to promote your business. And the only way to promote your business now is online. And you really help people get their messages across. So like, a lot of people, they do still images, they do videos. What are the benefits of using a video versus using like a still image? Why do you have to sell people, or do people really know what the benefits are for using video over like using just pictures?
Yeah, that's a good question. So there's two ways that I see this as for your marketing in terms of this topic. So you have your branding side, and then you also have the advertising side. For your branding side, you should be posting videos on a day-to-day basis. It should be something that's in a lot of ways kind of easy for you to do. Not easy, but like something that you have dialed in. And I know you do a lot of that, whether that's TikTok videos, whether that's the videos that you do for your tips.
Yeah.
Like you're using your iPhone and you're doing that on a day-to-day basis. It could be posts. You could be talking about certain things that you love, or if it's a business or a business owner, it's like you're talking about these certain content pillars that you're able to do in a way that allows you to post on a day-to-day basis, right?
Yeah.
To stay top of mind, to stay relevant, because you have your inner circle, you have your social circles that are following you, and you should be able to stay relevant to them. On the other side is the advertising part. And, that part really comes down, like kind of pulling it back a little bit. How does a business survive? A business survives on having customers. Okay.
Yeah.
So how do you get customers? Well, it's through leads. So leads is like, it's extremely important for a business to survive and continue to grow. And you can only, like, there's ways to get leads. Obviously, the one that we know the most of is like using word of mouth, getting referrals. But outside of that, you can't really take that next level because you can over exacerbate your entire network, before they start coming back again. If you want to get to that next level, you need to continue to try to generate leads. And one way to do that is through these paid ad campaigns. And the way that I look at that is you should be running your branding. In an ideal world, you're running both sides of it, the branding and the advertising, right? Branding to stay top of mind, to stay relevant, and then the advertising side to generate new leads and generate, new customers. Yeah. So that's really both ways to look at it.
Yeah, so you're like almost telling your story, you're sharing it with the people that you know closest, your family, friends, right? And so for those of you that don't know, when you post stuff on social media on these different platforms, the algorithms within these platforms are only showing. So when I post something, it shows it to my 15% of people that are closest to me, people that are going to like, and they're going to comment, and they're going to engage with my stuff. These platforms are all about getting you to come back and use their platform as many minutes, seconds, and hours of every single day. So the way they do that is they show you the stuff that you love and care about the most. So what Tony's talking about is it's important to post and share with those people. Those are going to be your referrals. Those are going to be your close friends. It doesn't cost you anything except for making the video and recording it. But you should also be promoting, and even if it's putting a little bit of an advertising budget towards getting that messaging to other people that are not just your friends or family. Because if you don't put that little bit of money to it, it's just going to show the same things to the same people over and over again. And like he's saying, that market or that group can get saturated very quickly, right? Exactly. And within that space too, you're looking at videos depending on the platform. Like you want to make sure that you're creating videos that are specific towards that audience, right? So I kind of want to talk about that. So I know that when we, for example, I've worked on videos with Tony before, and we've made different versions of stuff because there's just different platforms, right? Something that you might post on Facebook, you're not going to post on LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. Something you're going to post on your Facebook business page, you might not post on your TikTok, right? And so it's important to make sure that your content is specific towards that genre. So how do you help people make sure that they're making content that's specific to where they're putting it out?
Yeah. So, the first thing that we do is we look at kind of going back to what you just said, there's so many times where I tell some of these new customers, listen, you don't need to hire an agent. You don't need to hire our agency. You can film this on your iPhone. Yeah. And that's really something that I say quite often because it doesn't make sense to spend thousands of dollars on a video. Yeah. If you're just going to post it on your social media for somebody to just watch. And you have to have some type of strategy. So one thing that we really focus on initially is really spending considerable time understanding the client, understanding their business model, their customer, what their customers' pain points are, and really what they want to sell. What do they want to promote? What's the service or the product? We have to understand all of these processes. So we start out with a strategy. We spend a lot of time there because from there we can then kind of figure out this map, right? This guide of what we want them to eventually do. So, that whether it's signing up for a consultation or booking an appointment with you for a call, you have to figure out what your audience is and what is going to make them want to listen to you more. So from there, it's figuring out this advertising. Where is your customer the most at? Are they on LinkedIn? Are they on Facebook? Are they going to be searching you through Google Ads? Yeah. You really have to dive deep into understanding where the customer is. And then you reverse it from there, build the videos and the content that's going to, address their problem or their pain point, and obviously presenting the client as the solution.
Got it. Yeah. So, and some things that you probably want to keep into consideration, right? Depending on who your audience is. If you're B2B, which means business to business, you're going to want to maybe go to LinkedIn because more business owners or people that are professionals are going to be there. If you're B2C, which is business to client, Facebook is probably good for you. Even Yelp might be good for you, right? To post videos on there. But there's just so many different ways that you can use your advertising. And like, it's important to work with somebody like Tony because they're going to help you kind of figure out where you're going to get the best ROI, or where you should put the money and where you can get the best bang for your buck at the end of the day. And where have you had the most success when you help people with their advertising dollars? Where have you seen the best ROI a lot of times?
Yeah. So again, it's very custom tailored to each significant, like each scenario, each situation. You know, a lot of my business, like it started off kind of to take it back, like as a videographer. So I was out there being a videographer, filming these videos, but I realized that a lot of the times they were never using the video in the right way. Like it would just live and die on their social media. Like their mom would watch it, their aunt would watch it, they would like it, comment, and then that's the end of it. I'm like, dude, like this video is amazing. You should be utilizing this and maximizing its potential. So that's where we, you know, started focusing on the advertising side. And again, each scenario is different. For professional services, we find ourselves advertising a lot on Facebook and LinkedIn. So most of our success has come from those types of campaigns. But we look at, like, for example, we're working with like a dental lab right now, and we had to come up with, you know, we wanted to target dentists. So you look at who the customer is and try to figure out, like, where are the dentists going to be at, you know, most of them. So there's different ways you can target them. You can target them through job titles. If they're part of some type of like group, like there's a group for dentists called the Spear group. Mm-hmm. You can target them through those types of parameters. You have to get really creative and strategic with who that customer is and what their interests are. Yeah. And target based on that. And Facebook, LinkedIn, like these are places that are very sophisticated with how you can target. And it's harder, definitely, for like professional services and B2B companies because they're just higher ticket purchase items. Yeah. Whereas like e-commerce and product-based businesses, mm-hmm. you know, have the most success on these campaigns because, you know, if you need a beard trimmer and it suddenly pops in front of you, like like an ad, and like it speaks directly to all of your problems, like, you're like, shit, I need that, you know, and it's easy to just purchase it right there. Yeah. Whereas you have to be more creative with like a professional service. And we tried to figure out like what's the easiest and lowest barrier of entry to make them pick up the phone and call you or book an appointment. So we get really strategic with how our marketing funnels into their sales process.
Got it. That's very interesting. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's just different levels of like costs for getting people to pick up the phone and call you. And from my understanding too, like you can search pretty much anything when it comes to advertising, at least on like Facebook and like different platforms. You can search, you know, male, you know, different, you know, age groups. You can search what potentially Facebook groups they're a part of, you know, what mm-hmm. interests they have, what do they like, you know, what are some of their favorite things. And so you can really get very specified. You can get their profession, you can get what city they live in, and it can allow you to get very specific about who you're advertising to. And with that, you know, comes the benefits of a higher chance that this person is going to purchase it, because if you know who your demographic is, it will allow you to specifically send your advertising to that demographic. And it's much better than what a lot of people do, which is like the shotgun approach, which is just, you know, send it to that city, right? But what if your advertisement doesn't appeal to women? You know, what if it's that beard trimmer? Yeah. Maybe 1.1% of women are going to use that, exactly. Or maybe buy it for their husbands, but really you want to be just sending it to men. Men are the ones who are going to be using a beard trimmer. And so it's important to like make sure that your stuff is very narrow and that it's going to the right people and getting in the hands of the right individuals so that they can benefit from seeing that advertisement.
Yeah. And to dive deeper, it's like, okay, what about that guy that's going to want that beard trimmer? Like, you know, you have to hit those pain points. Like, you sick of the hair, like, you know, on your back and you can't reach it. Like, how do I get that, you know, get that hair off? And it's like this product, you know, it could be something that like trims off your back. So you have to figure out like the problem that person is facing and really hone in on that. And present the product or the service as the solution. So there's definitely a formula to how we make these ads. And you're 100% right. It's understanding the audience, but also spending a lot of people, they just kind of post on their video, and they just let it just run. Like, you have to spend a lot of time on these ads, like managing the ads, watching the performance of them, tweaking things, trialing and error, because it's not going to happen you're not going to get like a lead within a week. It happens, but it's not going to it takes like 90 days to really see how your campaign is performing, and you always have to tweak it and optimize it as you go.
Yeah, and optimizing means like choosing the right audience or changing maybe the length even, or
Yeah.
maybe changing the intro, the outro.
Exactly.
Like I know, so Tony and I are in a book club together, and we've listened to a couple books, and like one of the books we watched or we read was called Harmon Brothers Poop to Gold, and these are some of the most successful, probably they're like an entire media advertising company,
Yeah.
and they talk about their video process and how they create these videos and the things that they do, and there's just so much testing. There's like script writing, right? There's so many different aspects, but like one thing that they do is they create like 10 different versions of a video, and they'll post it out, see what gets them the best ROI. And even with that, like you can test, right? You don't have to like publicly release it. You can just choose to send it to like 1,000 people and see which one gets the most likes and the shares, and then you can choose to post that one on your social media. There's just a lot of different aspects that people don't think of when it comes to video marketing.
Exactly, and that's what we spend most of our time doing, like on a day-to-day basis. We're watching how the video is performing. If we see there's fall off within the first 5 seconds, like you bet we're gonna go and we're gonna change the intro. Like the video needs to perform. You need to look at the analytics to see how and what needs to be changed.
Yeah.
And that's what requires, somebody to actually go in, and when they run these campaigns, look at it as, not from a left side of the brain, only, but both, like right, left and right side. You need to be able to match the artistic side with the actual, analytical part. And like you said, like the Harmon Brothers, they're running probably 10 to 20 different versions of the video, and seeing which ad is performing best.
Yeah.
And there's performance metrics that you can look at, like cost per click, how much the video is getting in terms of viewership, and the impressions. There's the click-through rate. These are all big indications to how your campaign is performing. And then obviously there can be little things you tweak that might change the outcome like drastically. You can start seeing like people messaging you or conversions coming in just based on these small tweaks. So Ray on my team is in charge of that, and having him and adding him to the team has been like a huge just game changer for our service.
Got it. And so let's talk about some of those statistics that you were talking about. So there's like price per click, right? Which means like how much are you spending before someone clicks on your actual advertisement or goes to your site? Is that
cost
correct?
Per click? So I mean, like let's say you're running an ad and you have a learn more button, or you're driving people to a landing page, right?
Yeah.
How much does it cost to get somebody to land on your landing page? So you can see, like, if, for instance, right now we just started this campaign this past month, and let's say we have, I think, about 1,300 visits to a landing page, and the cost per click is 50 cents, which is really good.
Yeah, that's a really good ROI.
Yeah, so it's like when you run Yelp ads, right?
Yeah.
You're running these ads, how many people are actually, clicking on your ad to go to your website or your landing, wherever you want them to go. So you can measure the success. It shows you, like, these platforms are very sophisticated in the way that you can generate a return on a video, let's say, or on your marketing.
Got it. And then let's talk about what does click-through rate mean?
So click-through rate is the idea is to have a higher click-through rate. You want more people. Ray can explain this better, but a click-through rate is essentially like, if it's 5% click-through rate, that's a really good click-through rate. It's basically the amount of people who are watching the ad compared to the impressions of it.
Got it. Okay, and then I know too, there's things like you can get statistics literally to how long people are watching your ad. Are they watching it like the full 20 seconds? Are they watching it a minute in? Are they watching it 10 seconds, right? And like you said, if people aren't watching the first 5 seconds, you've obviously lost them. And so redoing the intro is probably very important, but there's different statistics. You can probably analyze the video and say, well, what's going on second 15 that people are they're done with this fucking video now. Yeah,
exactly. So there's like a metric to see if there's like 25%. The amount of people who've watched your video, 25%, 50%, 100% through, like you can break it down to see exactly. It could be 200. Like maybe you have 1,000 people who watched a video, but only 150 that watched the whole thing through. That's still pretty good. I mean, honestly, versus just putting it on your Instagram and not really knowing who's watching the whole thing. You know,
whatever happens type of approach.
Exactly. Like you said, it's like a shotgun approach. You're hoping for the best and seeing what happens, but it's not. There's not much control over the situation when you do it that way. Whereas this way, we've had so much more fun and so many, such better results by using that service or that technique. But yeah.
Okay, cool. What are your favorite type of videos to work on? Do you prefer like the director cut, the commercial cut, or do you prefer the event ones?
Oh, well, I mean, I like to work with clients who kind of understand that process and who like fit in with it. Because again, we're not only making the videos anymore, we're also creating the funnels for them. So like we're designing the landing pages, we're designing the way that the message is read. We're designing the ad, we're doing the targeting, we're doing the retargeting, and we're adding the email component. Because once you get somebody's email, you want to put them into an actual sequence that allows them to get hit with certain touch points or an email sequence. So we're designing that whole thing. I like to work with clients who really understand and see that big picture.
Yeah.
Because the ones that want to just do videos and kind of just leave it at that, it doesn't really, like, I already know the video is not, it's like, they're not setting themselves up for success. So when we onboard clients, we really focus on that, aspect. But personally, I also I do some vlogging myself, or not vlogging, but like I make my own personal videos sometimes, especially around my travels and stuff. That's always fun. I had my video to El Salvador go viral. That was a lot of fun, and that was a cool video. I feel like a unique style to filmmaking. So being able to use that into the campaigns has generated great results, and I always love doing those types of jobs.
Got it. And do you like to do the editing yourself, or do you prefer to like send that out? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like the editing is really where you kind of get like the flavor of that individual, right? And like the editor is almost the most important part of the final product, because it's really getting what that person feels is like, like, I guess take me through the editing process, right? Kind of like, why do you make those decisions? What do you think is like the flair? Because I've never really heard in the mind of an editor, like, what are the things that stand out to you at the end of the day?
Yeah. So obviously everyone has their strengths and weaknesses, and my strength has always been video editing. Very random, but it's just something I've gravitated towards, and it's always been something I'm really strong at. So like we'll hire on a production crew, or we'll hire like a videographer. I used to be that guy, but it's hard to do that while you're trying to grow a business and dealing with dealing with the client side of things.
Yeah.
So I haven't found like really an editor that, because I'm so anal about editing, so I take on that part of it, or it's most of the control. You can control most of the editing process and how the story flows.
Yeah.
The editor has so much control over that. That's why you'll see a lot of directors sitting in with the editor, because literally the editor is like in control of how this movie comes out. I mean, obviously the shots, everything matters. The production of it matters. The quality of it matters. How you film a certain scene, the angle, like all these things are very important.
Yeah.
But none of it, comes together unless the editor is good enough to make the story happen. So we'll take the footage, I'll look at it, and I'll review it, and I find that I follow that formula, like I told you, in a lot of these styles of videos, where it's the problem, solution, or it's hook, problem, solution, call to action, credibility. You want to come off as a credible company. You want to come off as somebody who has reviewed you, who has testimonials about you. You want to add those elements in there as well. Fight any objections that somebody might have, or doubts that might have. You want to hit those face on.
Yeah.
There's a certain formula I follow in regards to that style. But every video that you do, whether it's a documentary, whether it's a commercial, it just depends on what the story is. You know, I try to think of it as like, how can I make this video explain what needs to be explained, like to a kindergartner? Yeah. Because like the better you can simplify the message, the better it is that everybody can consume the video in a way where it's like it makes sense. Yeah. Have you started using the theories from that other book that we're reading, Start With Why by Simon Sinek? Like, have you started trying to get people to get their messaging across also, and not just like describing the what and how of what they do, but like actually talking about like why they do things? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, dude, we spend so much time on the clarity of the message and the goal. And I feel like that plays a lot into, like, let's say the landing page.
Yeah.
It's like you first want to hit them with like a why. Why is what you're saying important? And hit those emotional strings. And then you go into the what and then the how, right? But it all starts with that why. And yeah, it's taught me a lot, that book, into how to clearly, say something or clarify a message.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's yeah.
Who are some of the best companies that you've seen that express their whys that you've worked with?
One of our clients, he's an architect, and he really, like, every time he speaks, he just like speaks from a place of like why. Like he's like, I don't like, his whole thing is like, I could design homes.
Yeah.
That's his what. Like, I design homes. Like, what do? I design homes. Custom homes. But his whole why is like, like what he does, he's like, I create lifestyles. Like what he does is like, he doesn't just design homes. He listens to what you do. He listens to what kind of lifestyle you have, and he makes that house come to life, like based on your lifestyle, based on like how you live your life. Let's say you're somebody who's fun, who likes to have parties, who has to have gatherings. What he does is he focuses and he creates these houses around just those types of life, like a social type of life. And he always says, like, I don't, create house, like I transcend living spaces, or I create lifestyles.
Great line.
Yeah. I mean, it's just the way he speaks when he does his videos is really like powerful, and it's really like magnetic, and it made me think of that book when I was, working with him.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't clarify why they do what they do, or what, they definitely talk about what they do. They talk about how they do it. But a lot of people that are the people that, got into a field because it's what they love or why they love it, or they're actually trying to like help people. You can hear it, like you said, when you hear them speak, the way they act, the way they do things, it resonates with every aspect of what their messaging is.
Yeah.
With the restaurants that you work with, do you find that, like, I'm sure that there's some restaurants which are just like big conglomerates, but you don't get the feel. But I know you worked with like that one guy from like vodka and stuff, and I'm sure he just like feels like he's super into it. Like he just loves every aspect of his job. He enjoys it. He has a good time with it. Do you feel like a difference when you work for those different types of companies?
Yeah, man, it's amazing when you work with people who are passionate. I mean, some of my clients have inspired me, like, beyond like, beyond that I ever thought that they could. Like, they really, like, I'm telling you, like, Chef Amar, he inspires me. Anderson inspires me. My other client, Mike, inspires me. Like, there's many more that I can think of, but the way that they live their lives, what they've built, what they're passionate about, it just oozes out. And that just, and it lights a fire, and it's like, that's so cool. And to work with those types of people are the best, it's really influential. And someone like Amar, it's like, how many times am I going to get this, like, in the live? I mean, it's pretty cool to be in that kitchen, seeing this dude like make magic, and then obviously he's a Top Chef finalist. I think he's filming another season of Top Chef, and his accent is amazing.
That's
like,
funny.
He's just like, him talking just makes you want to eat the food.
That's great. Yeah. So you get to really see some people that are like in their element, or like, I mean, I'm sure too, like when you're filming, it's like feels sometimes scripted, or it doesn't feel like supernatural, but I'm sure every once in a while you really get to see someone that's like doing what they do or what they love to do, and what brings them to life. And I'm sure just getting to see almost like behind the scenes of people like, crushing it, it sure does get a fire going within you.
Yeah, and that's what I love the most about what I do, is learning about these new worlds. Like, I get to enter everyone's world, and they're very transparent, because they have to be. They have to tell me what's going on with their business. Like, I go in there and I look at them, and like they would say things, they tell me things about their businesses that, like, teach me a lot, and like that I don't know how many people would know about, because it's a sensitive thing. So it's really interesting to learn how their businesses work, learn what, fuels their fire, and help them in that process to get them to the next level. And I just love it. I love it. We worked with a company that manufactures like supplements, and pharmaceuticals, pharmaceutical pills. I'm like in this warehouse, I'm seeing all these machines like create pills, and I'm like, dude, I would never see this ever if I didn't work the job that I have.
Yeah.
You know? And just like, you know, it's just amazing. And there's countless of stories like that.
Yeah, you get to basically be behind the scenes. You get to see stuff that a lot of people don't get to see. Really, the inner workings of companies and different types of companies. Yeah, I know it's
very fascinating.
You just went to a wedding for one of your clients down in El Salvador, right? And he's huge into manufacturing.
He does. So he does. He does fulfillment and transportation for like some of the biggest beauty brands in the world. And again, dude, like I met this guy at the most random event that I was filming, like the first year I started my business.
Yeah.
And he loved the camera. And he's like, I need you in my life. Like, let's do this. And I was like, okay. And that relationship, like, you know, 5 years later, like I'm at his wedding. It's the most extravagant wedding I've ever been to. You know, he pretty much is like one of the most important people in El Salvador now. He lives there. And it's like, that story in itself, me being there, I was like, this is awesome. Like, I never thought I could get this. Let's say if I stayed at Pacific Life, you know?
Yeah, for sure. You'd just be still working in insurance, wondering what you're doing with your life.
Yeah, so it's really cool, like that aspect of things.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I mean, I can only imagine where your job's going to take you. And, you know, you speak about advertising and all this stuff, but I don't think you actually do any advertising for your company, like actual paid advertising. I think all of your business is actually word of mouth, from my understanding, right?
I do advertising I do advertise on certain sites that people need production and agencies for. Like Clutch is one. I've done for Yelp. We're going to be running a campaign here shortly. So the one thing with like video companies, production companies, marketing companies, they're really good at marketing for their clients, but they suck at marketing for themselves. So it's like a known thing throughout the space,
the industry.
Yeah, it's funny. Like. Yeah, I mean, we're just so focused on the health of our clients' marketing that we want to make sure, you know, at least for me, like I guess I should be doing more marketing and advertising for myself, but it's just a thing that we're going to be kicking into gear this year.
Do you like, when you work with companies, do you prefer to just work with like their marketing person, or do you like to get in there and like interview everyone, or like interview the big players and be like, hey, what are you guys about? What do you do? Or like, can you take us through that process a little bit when you get brought in for a job?
Yeah. So if it's a huge like corporate company, like we worked with DB Schenker, which is like a pretty big corporate company. So, I mean, they really conquer like Europe, but there it's like, I'm going to be working with the marketing director. So it's mainly marketing directors that we generally have point of contact with the smaller business clients. I'm usually speaking to the founders, the owners of the company. So it's definitely, it's when we start our process though, we want every decision maker possible in that strategy call, because everyone has a different opinion and a different perspective of what they want in terms of their marketing, in terms of their videos, in terms of their storytelling. Okay. So being able to have all of those decision makers in one setting and be able to get all their ideas out, it really helps us understand like taking this piece, taking that piece, taking this and putting it all together into one plan of action. So that's pretty important to have, making sure that each person has their opinion voiced.
Got it. And usually the founder is going to have the best, you know, kind of like grasp on what the story is or what they're about. And you prefer, if you can, to always speak to them, I'm guessing.
Yeah. I mean, like sometimes it's just promoting a certain service or a certain product. Like we have thousands of products, but we want to promote this one because it's seasonal, or because this is what we're trying to push for the fall, or because of this thing happening. Like, and it's like, okay, we need to learn more about that, you know? Yeah. If it's, you know, you have to have the story side of it and then also the marketing side of it, why it happened. And we want to get all of that information collected so that we can make the right choice in how we market or strategize their campaigns.
Got it. And I'm guessing like when it comes to these campaigns, like the ones that are most successful and the ones that are not most successful are the people that actually take the time to put some money into it and to like actually promote it the right way, right?
Time, like money and time. Like, you know, sometimes like people want to start a marketing campaign, or they want to kick off their 2021 marketing or whatever it is, but they don't realize that there's some time that you need to put into it to help us. So we meet with them at least twice a month minimum, just to get ourselves all on the same communication level. So that is really important. Like we found that the most success is when our clients are actually dedicating the time and giving us the time to work together. Like it could be a 1 hour Zoom meeting, or it can be a 15-minute phone call. Like that's important for the success of any marketing, because when you work together, we find that to be the most successful results. And then yes, you do have to have an advertising budget, right? And again, the clients and jobs that we like to take on are the ones where they look at their marketing budget on more of an annual basis than a one-time video.
Yeah.
Because we can help them throughout the whole year. Like, okay, let's run this campaign the first half of the year because of this reason, because of X.
Yeah.
And then we'll run, another campaign later on because of X. So it's like being able to look and work with them as a partner versus just as like a video, like someone that just wants like a video and that's it is the types I like. I like the first type of client but we work with all types of clients, but that's where I find the most success.
Got it. So people that like stay involved, stay hands-on, people that are going to stay in there and want to do the testing, want to check stuff out.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course there's different types of companies, right? There's companies that are going to have very small budgets. There's companies that are going to have bigger budgets.
Exactly.
And do you find that like the companies with the bigger budgets are obviously going to get a better ROI on their money all day long, just because they're going to do more testing and they're going to kind of see what gives them the most fruition?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I understand everyone's in a different level. So it's like when we look at a client and like when they come on, we try to figure out what they're willing to spend for that 2021.
Yeah.
And then we find ways to maximize that budget. Okay,
yeah.
let's be creative. Let's be cost effective here versus, just splurging on something that's going to be wasteful here. Again, like you can't justify spending all this money on a video and then not doing anything with it. I'm going to tell you not to do it.
Yeah.
I don't want you to go and it's going to cost you this much money, but I like to ask the questions like, what are you going to do with it? Like, how is it going to really benefit your business? Maybe it's not a video you need. Maybe you just need to run ads on Yelp. It could be something as simple as that. So I try to look at the situation and see where we can maximize the potential. Maybe it's an influencer. Maybe you team up with an influencer and you can get the same result. So I find myself like the past 5 years, I'm in a very different place as a company. It used to be, again, me just as a videographer, and I was having so much fun making videos for people.
Yeah.
To now okay, I have enough experience and, we have enough people on our team who are really good at what they do, who can provide value as a marketing partner, with video being the foundation of our service. Yeah.
And then, going back to like what you said about influencers too, right? Sometimes the influencer might be the right decision to go down that route, but for a piece of advice for people, I've seen companies that have used influencers that were not like directly correlated to that space. So like using influencers that are within your space, or people that actually care about your product, or people that might be raving fans about your product, is all super important. So you want to make it sure in mind you're not just like paying someone just to promote it just for the sake of promoting it, but you're using someone that is aligned with your values. Because when somebody's aligned with your values, that person's going to have a much greater influence, and they're going to be able to motivate people because people see that they believe what you believe, and that goes a lot further.
Yeah, dude. And honestly, this made me think about one thing, like what you did when you, I think it was a few months ago, you sent out thank you cards with gift cards and bottles of wine and all of that to your clients. And I was like, that was genius. Like that's what you got, the same result doing that than, you can find in other marketing campaigns.
Yeah.
Like it's just being creative.
Yeah.
And like, obviously you have a marketing mind, so like what to do, but like sometimes people can't think of that. So they need somebody who can help them creatively in terms of how to communicate to their clients. But yeah, that's a good example, like what you did. And I really like that. That was really cool.
Yeah, man. I actually got that idea from an attorney. She does actually zero marketing. She doesn't pay for any advertising or anything. All she does is grassroots type stuff, writing people letters, sending them bottles. I mean, like I luckily do a combination of both, and I think everyone should always do a combination of both, because sometimes one well will dry up or one well will be, fruitful. And so it's important to just keep them all going. And then you're not sitting there just depending on one or the other. You really have a bunch of different avenues that you can go down. I know I'm going to be myself trying to go down the ClickFunnels route in the next year or so, or trying to figure out how that's beneficial, because I definitely took a program from an attorney out there, a guy named Sam Malawi, that offers, a legal funnels trainer program, and it was good. It was very interesting because ClickFunnels are very good. I was wondering, do you guys use like a company called Active Campaign, or like this other, like there's email follow-up companies, right? So there's companies out there where they will have literally 7 or 8 emails that will consistently get sent to person once they capture that. Do you guys do that?
There's so many different ones.
Yeah.
We use smartreach.io as one of them. But yeah, there's a lot. So for emails, it's SmartReach. We use Unbounce for landing pages.
Okay.
That's a pretty,
yeah, a lot of people use Unbounce.
Yeah,
I've looked at that too. I mean, it's basically the same exact concept as ClickFunnels. They're basically like cousin companies, is what I would say.
So it's ClickFunnels is like definitely like, it's like, okay, you go here and then the next thing you go to that, like to that page, to this page. Landing, like Unbounce, you kind of have to be more hands-on with designing it, from what I understand.
Yeah.
So there's so many sites out there to use, for your marketing, and all of them are very powerful. Like, if you take the time to learn them, or you hire a company to help you with all that, it's very, very sophisticated with how you can reach these people.
Yeah.
And how to get them, like, in a funnel. But yeah, you mentioned that, like, starting something grassroots, doing something grassroots. Again, like, you have, every situation is different. Every product, service is different. You really have to start with that conversation.
Yeah. What works best for you?
What works best for you, and where's your customer?
Yeah.
But that's it. Like, it starts and ends there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm reading a book right now called Giftology, which is very interesting too. It talks about, instead of like doing marketing, it's like buying gifts for people, right? And getting in touch with the right people at the right companies. And one of the things that they talk about is like, some companies, they need to, instead of like doing marketing, right? They don't need to market to everyone. Some companies need to just get in touch with like the CEO of every company, right? And typically the CEO of every company is not going to be just sitting there on their Facebook or on LinkedIn or Instagram just looking at advertisements. So what are you going to do? Spend 10, 20 grand to hopefully get the attention of one CEO? No, you want to probably spend 5 grand on a Rolex as a gift, or like something that's going to like make you stand out. Or, the book talks about like having things that are aligned with your values, things that matter to your company, things that represent who you are. And you want to buy like a nice gift for them. So, for everybody here that's listening, look, video is extremely important, and it's something that you should probably be doing for your company, whether it's actually paying for advertisement or just using it to get your branding across to people. But if you're looking to sometimes just connect with a CEO, maybe video production is not the thing that you need to be doing. You need to kind of sit down, think about what you're doing, why you're doing it, who is the person that you need to market to, and how does that person move the dial forward. And you'll find out that sometimes it's a group of people that will move the needle forward most for you, right? For me, it's like a lot of time it's for chiropractors, because we get a lot of business from chiropractors. We work with a lot of chiropractors. So it's like making sure that we advertise them. But even within Facebook, I can send advertisement to chiropractors, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I can send people like that, like specific people like that. And so it's important for you to kind of sit down, see what matters most, and then putting your biggest bucket of change into that and going down that road.
Yeah, exactly. It's really, again, I mean, there are ways to do that, and there's industries that are parallel to you, like chiropractors. Those are people that are going to supplement your business. And I actually talked to an attorney or a doctor, I think, well, the one that you,
Dr. Sial.
Yeah, and like he's like, a lot of my business comes from, let's say, like PI attorneys. It's like, okay, how do we get in front of PI attorneys?
Yeah.
But yeah, Gary Vee too is somebody who always talks about like, following people on LinkedIn, like those presidents, those owners, if they like a certain sports team, like being able to relate with them with that, like being able to, talk and create a conversation there. If it's Twitter, being able to constantly like follow those people, track them, and basically like find what their interests are and relate to them on that level. So there's so many different ways to go about it.
Yeah, man. Okay. So I guess we're kind of getting to the end of the conversation here about video production. Is there any like last tips that you'd give to people? I know one tip that I like to give people is make sure your videos, they all have subtitles. I know this sounds like something subtle, but you forget that a lot of people that are on social media are kids that are in classrooms or like students in school, or they're like on a Zoom meeting, or they're with their parents at a dinner table, and they're not actually listening to your video. So it's very important to have subtitles that are catchy and paying attention, because people read a lot of times instead of actually watching it while they're just scrolling through quickly. I mean, is that something that you recommend to all your clients also?
Yeah, subtitles is important. I mean, we noticed the improvement of one of our video performances on a campaign, like by 30%, just because we added subtitles the next day.
Yeah.
It's true. Like, so many people are in bed late at night,
Yeah.
trying not to wake up their wife or their husband, or their kids, and they're just watching a video, or in the
Yeah.
morning, or they just don't even want to hear noise. They just want to read.
Yeah.
And it is important to have subtitles for sure. You'll notice a difference in adding those.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. I mean, my girlfriend goes to bed earlier than I do. So sometimes I'm sitting there on Instagram and I can't have the volume on. So if you don't have subtitles, you just lost out on the opportunity to advertise to me. It's
Yeah.
very real. You know,
It's much more consumable too. Like, you're reading, you're watching, you're reading, you're watching. It's all information that's coming into your brain, like different levels.
yeah, you know, use catchy colors, use stuff that stands out. One thing that I also recommend to like my friends, because you know I do a lot of the videos online on social media, and it's important. If you don't catch people's attention the first 5 seconds, that's it. You fucking lost them. There's just too much shit on the internet that people can just scroll to, and there's too many options. So if you're not capturing people's attention in that first couple seconds, they're moving on to the next picture, and it's so easy, and it's about 1 second for them to move to the next one. So you really have to catch their attention in that first moment, or else it's over.
Yeah, man. I mean, you asked tips. Like, that's one thing. Like, try to be unpredictable. Try to break the patterns. People are like, we got away with it in 2015 to 2017, maybe 2018. But people now, like, that was when video was hot and right when it was new. It's like people have recognized the patterns of videos where a traditional video is like, "Hi, my name is Tony, and I do this." That was like, a lot of times they're just automatically, just because of their subconscious, going to tune out just because of my tone, just because of, you know, the way that the video is structured, the traditional style.
Yeah.
It's out. Like, TikTok, honestly, I come back to TikTok because I think it's going to be very important in the way that you advertise, is like changing that so much. You know?
Yeah, I mean, they just released a statistic. TikTok is now officially the most used app in the world. It overcame Facebook. And so attention is at TikTok. So if you're not, you know, I just got on there myself, and you've been telling me for 3 years I should have been on there a long time ago, and I should have been on there a long time ago. And it's like, you got to go where the eyeballs are. And a lot of people are like, oh, I don't use TikTok. It's for kids dancing on things. So you're going to lose out on the biggest share of the market because you think it's for something else. No, you need to get on there. And just like Facebook and all these other platforms, I'm sure you can be very targeted in who you want to target on there. You know, if you don't want to target young teens dancing, great, don't do that. But there's adults on there too that use TikTok, and they're looking at it more than they're looking at other platforms right now.
And they're all going to be on it. The same dudes that are saying, why am I going to be on it? They're all going to be on it.
Yeah. At some point, you're going to get there.
They're going to be on it.
You know, you're either the late adopter, what we were reading the other day, you're either early, you know, adopter, you're going to be somebody that's an innovator, or you're going to be somebody that's going to get on the bandwagon too late. And then by then, you've already missed the boat.
And the content is so much more consumable. Like, your videos, like, I'm learning more just because of like the text, the way that you're doing it. It's fun, it's engaging.
Yeah.
Whereas like it's harder to consume when it's just a bunch of like, you know,
words,
verbal diarrhea. You know, it's like, it's hard. It's not easy to keep someone's attention.
Yeah.
And there is definitely like a platform for that, but I wouldn't say it's the Instagrams or the TikToks of the words. It's probably
That's
like
hard.
It's like the YouTubes, etc. But
dude, I mean, like it's also like emotional too. I mean, like for me, it's like emotional, right? Because there's times when I get on TikTok and I'm like, this is fucking stupid. Like I'm doing a dance. This is ridiculous, or like whatever it is. Like I'm pointing, and like I think this is dumb. But the thing is, like you said, it's easier for people to digest.
Yeah.
And social media has killed our attention spans. I mean, it's my own attention span. I now watch YouTube videos on 2 times speed because I don't think they're giving me the information fast enough, even though it might be the best speaker in the world, and they're emotional, they're great, they're amazing, but I'm like 2 times speed, or else I'm done, I'm out, I'm moving on, I'm looking at my phone for social media while I'm watching the video. Like it's ruined us. So it's like true, it's like you have to work with the times, you have to change with the times. And you know, TikTok is one of those things where it's like, this is how people digest information now. You're either going to evolve, you're going to adapt, you're going to change, or you're just going to kind of get lost and left in the dust. And I'm like coming to terms with that. And you know, for those of you out there that or like, I don't know what's TikTok or how to do that. One thing that I've learned from some of my friends that are the most successful with TikTok is you have to hire somebody that's in college. I know that sounds strange, but you need somebody who is on TikTok 3 hours a day, that all they do is watch TikTok videos. They know the trends. They're paying attention to the trends, and it's important to them because they need to be cool to their friends to talk about the trends. So I highly recommend you hire somebody that's in college.
Yeah.
And one of my friends, he has 250,000 followers now. He is the most socially awkward, strange person. I'm not going to name his name, but he's not somebody that you would expect to have 250,000 followers. But the reason he got it is because he hired an assistant. She's in college. She pays attention to what's trending, and they make copycat videos, and it's ended up catching on. And it's one of those things where you have to have somebody that knows what's going on, pays attention to it, and is able to bring that value back. I don't know if you agree or disagree.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, she's in it on a day-to-day basis, and like when you have someone like that internally in your company who's there every single day, seeing you do your like different appointments, your different patients, like on a day-to-day basis, it's like, yes, you should have someone internally who's working with you, who's actually recording that on their iPhone and making videos out of it, TikTok, whatever it is. And that's sometimes what I advise some of the clients, like hire somebody internal, hire a college student, hire somebody internal, because that's an important side, especially for some companies, like, that side of like chiropractic and everything. Like it's something that you should be doing on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. I want to also give you guys a tip too, for all the listeners out there. So you can hire a company like Tony to create your videos and help you with your messaging. But when it comes to like the captions and the places where you can actually write content, you should be doing it with their guidance, but you should be doing it. Don't just let the company do it for you. It's your company, it's your branding, it's your message, whether it's you, your marketing person, but that's something that you guys should be working on, even if you have a company that might help you create the videos or the pages or the branding or whatever it may be, because people can tell the difference. I don't know. Like Gary Vee is one person that I learned this from. He's like, look, I do this every single day. I'm running huge multi-million-dollar companies. You can take 5 seconds out of your day to write your caption or to write your post, because if it's important and that's what your messaging and that's what your branding is, you probably shouldn't have somebody else doing that for you. You should be getting your own branding and messaging apart. And I think that's so important for me too. Like I batch my captions. I set 2 hours every week and I write all the captions for my social media that's going out. I might not choose every photo or every picture or every meme, but I do write the content for it because I know that people resonate with that, and some people read it, some people comment, and it's important for you to make sure that you're engaging in that way.
Yeah, dude. Like you hit it on the head. Like you should be, most of the focus should be on the creative, the actual concepts, the actual, marketing and the what you want to make, versus the actual quality of it. Like it's all starts with putting those ideas down on paper, and that's what we've stressed so much. Like you can hire any company, you can hire anyone to make a quality video, but quality doesn't sell. Like creative sells. How creative you are, like how witty you are, it starts with that stuff on paper and being able to put that down. And another thing to expand on that is really understanding what I call or what everyone calls content pillars. Yeah. So like identifying what you want to speak about, right? Some people like to speak about personal development, right? Some people want to be like that motivational type. Yeah. Others want to speak more about their market. But if you look at someone like Gary Vee, like he doesn't talk about like marketing that much. No. He mainly talks about, and he runs a VaynerMedia, which is a huge agency. You barely hear him talk about like his campaigns or client stuff.
I don't think I ever hear him talk about it.
He talks about self-awareness. He talks about kindness. He talks about like motivating people. Like, but he's built a huge, following off of that topic, which has, I'm sure, in some way
gotten him a lot of business.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you got to talk about what resonates with you. I mean, a lot of people ask me like, look, I probably am a not great example of this, because like, for example, I didn't start this podcast for a long time because I was like, I got to get the film crew. I got to get it perfect. Instead of just grabbing my iPhone and recording, 2 people speaking, it would have been, just getting it started and getting it going. And it's more natural that way, right? Like Joe Rogan, when he first did his first episode, it was just the webcam and his buddy doing awkward graphics. And now it's one of the most successful podcasts arguably in the world. Mm-hmm. just get started. Get your phone, put it out. You can buy an Amazon Lite for $25.99 because that's how I started doing my videos. You put it in front of you and you just start saying stuff. And not everyone's going to like it. That's something you'll realize very early on. Some people are going to like it. In the beginning, the same 3 people are going to be the only people liking it for about a year. And then at some point, maybe some other people will click on it and start commenting and engaging with you. But the thing that I can tell you is this, is when you are passionate about something and you care about something, people are going to listen, they're going to chime in, and they're going to like you, and they're going to like it, you know, and not everyone's going to resonate. You just kind of got to sift through the bullshit, and as Elon Musk calls it, you know, the Twitter war battle zones, you know, the Instagram battlefields, and you just got to ignore that stuff and just, you know, connect with the people that are actually connecting with what you're saying. But it starts with just starting somewhere and just get on a microphone and start speaking to it. I know there's days where I look great today, but there's days when I've posted videos on my stuff and it actually felt more natural. I'm just in my tank top hanging out at home because that's what I work in most of the time, right? I'm not at home in a suit all day, every day. I know like most of you probably imagine that, but I'm not. And so sometimes I feel awkward about posting a video because I'm not in my suit. And I'm like, that's not my branding or my messaging. But you know what? Like, not every day is going to be in a suit. And I think people resonate with that stuff and people like that stuff. I mean, you look at Gary Vee, right? He's one of the most successful people ever. He just looks like he's wearing his college sweatshirt and a Jets hat, and he's just super awkward, hair frazzled. And, you know, he has millions and millions of people that resonate with him. And it's like, just do what feels natural and people will kind of like magnetize to that.
Yeah, you have to be comfortable with the idea of like dedicating and committing to it.
Yeah.
So a lot of people have a hard time. I mean, I have a hard time doing it too, like for my own personal branding.
Yeah.
But it helps, man. If you like, you don't see it on the front end, the results. Like, how many people you think we got to the end of this episode? Like, let's be honest. Like, you know,
to the end of this episode?
Like, who's watching this right now?
Yeah, yeah, we have no idea.
I love
Who is
you
watching
if you
this
are.
right now? If you are, please comment on this. And we'd love to see how many people are actually here. But it's very true. It's like, who is going to stick on and who's going to pay attention? It's like many people don't. It depends. They might be in their car. They might be listening while they're driving. It might be that no one ever watches this episode, right? But it's like, does this resonate with us? Are we having a good time? Like, I'm sure that you coming on here gave you ideas, like working on your messaging.
I love it.
It reminds me of like things that I need to work on and stuff that I need to potentially do and things that we need to work on together, right?
Yeah.
This like, you know, there's benefits that aren't just for us, but they're for, you know, I mean, that are not just for other people listening in, but for us too. And so it's like people are listening to a conversation. I think, you know, if it resonates with you, people will listen, and some people won't listen. Some people might just forward to the end of this podcast. Who knows?
There will be people who listen, and it might not be now, it might be later, but it's going to happen. I mean, I'm always searching for podcasts that are around the marketing fields. Yeah. I mean, even different fields, like fields that I'm just like, I like listening about, or like learning about. But like sometimes it's hard to find them. And then when you find one, you're like, wow, like I listen to it every morning. Like I go on a run every single morning and I have a podcast that I'm listening to while I'm on that run. Or if I'm in need of some type of information regarding some certain topic, I'll go on YouTube, I'll watch a 30-minute video to learn that topic. Yeah. Like you said, probably fast forward it a little bit, you know. But there are people that are looking for whatever this episode's about that they're going to relate with. It's just a matter of finding it, which could happen over time.
Yeah, sometimes people can get lost in the madness. I know sometimes I get super confused. I'm like, I don't even know what podcast to click on, right? And that's like there's just so many and there's so many different names. But it also depends on my mood. It's like, what do I want to listen to today? Am I going to be jogging in on Tim Ferriss? Am I going to be watching, you know, Tony Robbins? Or it just kind of, do I want to listen to a Joe Rogan where he talks about aliens? It's just like
for like an hour.
For like an hour. Hey, man, I'm
telling you. And you'll do it.
And I'll do it. Yeah. But
you'll love it.
But that's the thing. It's like, you know, people are either going to stay engaged and they're going to be like, okay, great, this is something I'm resonating with, or I'm out of here. And like we said in the beginning of this, you know, video, It's like, if you don't catch people's attentions, and as Patrick David Betts says, is don't be boring. If you're boring, you're screwed. Nobody's going to listen to you. Nobody's going to pay attention. I mean, unless you're like an astrophysicist and you're the guy with the info, don't be boring, right? Like you really have to keep people's attention, because if your podcast is longer than a minute, they're probably not going to stick around for very long, just because of how they've been, you know, trained with the way that the world works, or like, you know, and that's part of the reason too, like you pointed out, like somebody might not listen to this full hour and a half podcast, but that's why I have Ray. He's making videos, shorter videos for like the good stuff, for people to be like, okay, well, this is some good stuff. You know, not every minute of this hour and a half was exhilarating. I was jumping off the edge of my seat. But then at the end of the day, we are giving them snippets, because sometimes people, that's all they can handle is a snippet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, I have this funny idea for commercial where it's like saying what you do, kind of like, basically, let's just talk about like whatever it is that you want to sell. And it could be like around your personal law firm or anybody, whatever. They have a message. They're doing their natural like sales video, but they're getting shot with a paintball gun. I guarantee people are going to watch that. They're trying to say their message, but they're getting shot with a paintball gun. And they're most likely going to have to listen to what this guy has to say. It's going to break a pattern. It's unpredictable. It's not boring. No, it's not boring. It's definitely entertaining.
It sounds painful, but I'm kind of into the idea.
So there's this,
do it to me.
Yeah, there's this funny there's this really good company, and really a company I'm trying to model my company after is Chamber Media.
Yeah.
The owner of the company is like so good with video. Like he just comes up with the best video ads and just the best videos in general. And one of them was like trying to market their services as a ad agency. He's on a table, laying down on a table, and he's like doing his whole spiel like, hey, yeah, we're Chamber Media. We helped the company go from 2 million to 24 million. And he's getting waxed. His chest is getting waxed. So like they're pulling the wax off of his chest. It's pulling his hair. And he's like, he's like in the middle of his like sales presentation, just yelling. And I'm like, this is genius. Like, yeah, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, but I feel like the trend is going that way, because like you can't help but to actually try to hear what this guy out while he's like in all this pain. So
yeah, I mean, for all of you that are listening, same thing. Like, do something ridiculous. Do something that stands out. Yeah, you don't want to be a sea of people. I mean, like even today, like we were taking pictures and testimonials for my firm, and we're taking a picture with a big cliche check. In my mind, I'm like, I understand the purpose of doing it, but like I was just like thinking, I need to find more fun ways to maybe do this, to be different. Yeah. Because like you don't want to just be another person in the sea of people that do what you do. Yeah. Because you're just gonna get drowned out, and no one's gonna stand out and think about that. So like, you know, even having this conversation just makes me think, how can I stand out? And like one thing too, one of the biggest things I took from that Harmon Brothers book was like, love your cliches and make fun of them. Yes. Right? So like if there's a cliche about your business, make fun of it times 10, and that's probably what your marketing campaign should be, right? Like I like have rules of professional ethics, so I like am not allowed to do this stuff, but if I was, I would just have a video of me chasing ambulances, and like a lot of them, maybe riding a bicycle down the street, catching them like with my suitcase, like something ridiculous like that. But like, you know, if there's a cliche, that shit's funny. Yeah. People like it. They will resonate with you because you've just said, okay, I accept who I am. This is what I do. I'm making fun of it, and people like that stuff. You know, I'm going to try to I'm going to reach out to the state bar and see what I can get away with. But like that kind of stuff, it just goes a lot further with people. They're like, this guy is funny. This guy, he's hitting it on the head. He's poking fun at the industry. Yeah, you know, and like poke fun at your industry. Everybody pokes fun at your industry. You might as well embrace it. Like, not everyone's going to resonate with you while you're up there with great fervor and passion, being straightforward. But if you're making a joke, people love jokes. People love funny stuff.
It's good. It's good to have both. I know you talked about the picture with the check. I mean, honestly, like I see that and I'm like, that's good. Like this, you know, I can rely on this guy.
Yeah,
you know?
He's actually getting the shit done.
He's getting shit done, and you can see it. So like that stuff's good, but like don't just count on that stuff. Like you need to be relatable. Yeah. That's a big thing. Being relatable. Be able to relate with someone's problem. Be able to relate and put yourself in that person's shoes. And if it's humor that helps, then go with humor. I mean, if you can get away with humor, there's ways to dance around it, like the legal side and the professional side. Yeah. You can dance around with it. You just it all starts with the ideas. Like you have to brainstorm and spend time there.
Dude, I mean, it goes back to the relatable thing. Look, I'm going to be honest. There's a lot of my friends that have used me as an attorney when they knew I was not the best attorney, okay? They knew I'm figuring my head from my butt out. I'm just starting in my career, but they're like, no, it's okay. I trust you to do it. And I'll tell you right now, I apologize to those friends now because like now, like I'm 5 years in. I can say without a doubt, I am a great attorney. But that first 2 years, Oh man, I was like a monkey with my head cut off, running around, not knowing what I'm doing. I'm settling things the wrong way. Like I was figuring it out, you know, and like that's part of the process too. And so, but the thing is that I'm just super relatable. So people were like, I will sacrifice thousands of dollars that I could potentially get by going with an attorney that's going to cost me the same, but have 30 years experience because I'm relatable.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is like, if people like you, they're going to do business with you. If they don't like you and you're not relatable, they're not going to do business with you. And that goes back to your branding too, right? It's like, what does your branding say about you guys? Are you a fun, cool company that you enjoy doing these things? Are you guys crazy gun-ho? And the crazy gun-ho person is going to choose you all day because you resonate with their values. But the thing is, if you're just another company in the sea of companies and you don't have branding and you don't have messaging and you're just talking about what you do and how you do it and you don't explain to people why you do what you do, you're screwed. Why is anybody going to choose you other than you being their friend, right? Like, your company wasn't anything special.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to please everybody. Like, you're not going to be able to get everyone's business.
Yeah.
And I think I had that mindset, like, when I was young, like when I was starting out. But like, you look at like, you get a lot of your clients and your customers through your friends group, through going out and socializing with people and going to events and things of that nature. And they love you for it. They trust you. They, you might not get, some like crazy case from some like top tier executive. I'm sure you will, but I'm just saying, like, you know what I mean? Like, you have to know your audience and being able to attract certain people.
Well, I just want to give you an example. So like when I like was about a year or two in my career, about a year, like the first year I was still living my normal lifestyle, which is like going out, being super social. I'm extremely social. I go to music festivals, I go to events, I travel. I do all the things all the time.
And you embrace it.
And well, that's what I was getting to is like that first year afterwards, I did not embrace it. My parents got in my head, you got to be this professional attorney. You can't go to any of these things. You can't go anywhere. You need to be focused. You can't dress the way you do. You can't do what you do. And you know what? I stopped for like a year and a half. And all I can say is I did not have enough work. I literally wasn't getting business anymore. Like, you have to be yourself and you have to resonate with who you are. Like, 90% of my clients, like I'm now luckily at the point in my career where I only take my clients that are referred to me by friends and families. I don't actually take any marketing cases anymore.
I see.
I've stopped doing that. I have attorneys that work for me that handle that stuff because I want to just work for my friends and family. And so like that's where most of my business comes from. That's where actually all of my business comes from, is friends, family, and referrals. And it comes from me going out, traveling, doing these things, being social, like don't ever stop being yourself, because when you do, people can feel that and they're not going to want to work with you. They're not going to resonate with you. And so you have to stick with who you are. When you are doing the best and feeling the best, that's what really matters.
So you know your strength. Like you realize what your strength is. Like knowing that is like, I'm going to focus there because that's what works.
Yeah.
So it's like some things aren't going to make sense. Like maybe marketing, maybe doing ad campaigns. It's like, if you know that your eggs are all there, then then focus there and see how you can garnish those relationships and further, maintain those relationships. So
dude, it's so important. So well, I know the biggest mistake you've ever made, unless you have a different answer, probably working for that insurance company. What did you learn from it? You went the other way.
Yeah, we can start there.
Yeah, we can. Well, let's
end there. Start there.
We can start. Let's talk about, who was the worst client you've ever had and what did they teach you?
Yeah. Oh man, there's a few of them, but they all have kind of the same archetype, which is like kind of like a manipulator, a liar. There was one in particular where it was for a documentary that these two people wanted us to film about beach volleyball. It was a professional athlete, actually, and they wanted us to come and film on their entire trip. Like they went to New York, a tournament there. They did a tournament in Denver, and we followed them documenting this entire trip. And like, I was kind of newbie in my business, and I didn't get a contract signed. I think I actually called you about it.
Yeah.
And they led me down and led me astray through, like, just kept leading me on. I was really excited about this job because it's like, it was just something I was really excited about, and I thought it was going to be something big. And she kept saying, oh yeah, like she had this personality type where it was like really kind of manipulative in a way. And I kind of just jumped to it without doing the contracts, the agreements.
Yeah.
And she kept saying like she's going to, you know, come and pay me, but it never happened. I paid like my own air flight tickets. I was very much manipulated, which is it's usually hard to manipulate me. I get, you know, I can stop it in the track. But that time I was pretty vulnerable, and I took the job, and she screwed me, basically. We never finished the documentary. And I ended up getting my money back because I think you helped me in that process. But it was just a nightmare, bro. Like, and I've had a couple of those situations, and the thing I learned is like, hire Joe.
Yeah, that's funny.
No, I mean, the thing I learned is like, get your ducks in a row, you know?
So that's a very good lesson, you know, but that's something I learned early on too. Even if they're friends or family or somebody, you need a retainer agreement no matter what type of project you're on, you know, whether you're in advertising or whatever it is, you know, get payments throughout the project, you know, don't just get paid at the end. Luckily, I work on contingency, but I get paid no matter what. I get the check from the insurance company. So I take my money. But in situations like you have to get paid. So you want to make sure that you have like milestones. So one of my buddies that does it the best within advertising, he has project PowerPoints that he sends to the client before they start. And he says, when I give you these deliverables or when these things are done, and he breaks it down into 4 parts, he gets paid at each part, or else he will not move one step forward with the project. So he provides, before the project starts, every time a PowerPoint, project part 1, deliverables, part 2, deliverables, part 3, deliverables, part 4, deliverables, and sometimes deliverables is you filmed. You did these dates. You did that date. You provided this service. You did this editing. You provided this sample. So maybe you should do something along those lines, because you need to define the scope of services, what you're actually doing, and make sure you're not going to get screwed. You know, like I said, for me, I can't even start work with a client until they sign a retainer, because I could lose my license. So like, I obviously never dealt with that issue a lot because I always sign people up, but you need to make sure you do that and get it all in writing. You know, if you're not getting a contract, you need to hire an attorney. I don't do a lot of business stuff unless it's for friends or family, but find a business.
You have people who work.
I have people,
your
If
sphere.
you need someone, please reach out, but it's not that expensive. And if somebody screws you, there are companies out there that will help you get your money. You know, I can give you that connection too, or you can just find an attorney that can write a letter. Many times an attorney letter for $300 will get them to answer your questions.
Yeah. So, I mean, like most things in life, you don't learn something until you really get burned.
Like, you don't learn till you get burned.
Just human nature for a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know, so it required that to really get my system in place. And thankfully now I don't take on anybody until they sign an agreement and pay the deposit. Like, usually, like it just, it won't happen.
So the last question I want to ask, if you could go back and talk to little Tony, the guy that was going to Vegas with me on random spurt moments, and talk to that kid, let's say at your 21st birthday, what would you say to that kid? What piece of advice would you give to him before he moved on with his life? No vodka Red Bulls at 3 a.m.
It was worth it, man. It was worth it. Oh man. Honestly, like spend a lot of time figuring out what it is you really want. And if it does require something to take a break and really find yourself, like do that earlier on. I would tell myself that, and really like, don't be motivated. Don't like, you're young. Like you still have so much time. Like you should invest in something that you really want to do and see yourself being great at.
Yeah.
And learn from people. Like I started actually a video business at 19 years old. Yeah. And I was told that, you know, it wasn't going to I'd listen to somebody say something along the lines that like,
probably how are you going to, our Arab parents.
Yeah. Like, how are you going to like, you know, feed your family and your kids and all that? And I really took that to heart. And you know, like had I think stayed on that path and stayed focused there at 19, I would have had 7 years more like under my belt of experience and building a business, and probably in a different place than I'm at. See, you figure out things along the way, and you figure out how to make things work as you go. You just have to start and not be distracted by opinions that people have no experience around. Like
Yeah.
go and find people who are experts in the area of your interest, and learn from those. Learn from those people and really take it to heart and see how you can apply it to your own world. So that's the biggest one, I would say.
Dude, I mean, it's so important. Listen to your heart is, I think, something I'm just learning to do now, you know, being 33 years old. I don't think many people do it until later, but you know, the people that change the world, they've been listening to their heart since they were kids, you know. Listen to your heart, take risks, you know, because not everything, you know, makes sense in the beginning, right? I mean, like, even with this podcast, I'm like, I don't really know what I'm going to do with it yet, right? It's like just kind of doing it for fun at this point. It's just like, you know, interviewing people. I'm learning a bunch of cool shit. But do I know if I'm going to be like Joe Rogan or anything one day? It's like, no, but something told me I need to go down this road and try it and just try stuff out.
Yeah.
You know, just kind of like one day
You
at
have
a time.
to. You have to. You have to try things. And
yeah.
Yeah.
Now that we've spoken, I might try to figure out something to do with anime. I don't know what yet. That'll be a next side project when I figure that out.
Yeah. You're going to get opinions, honestly, and you're going to have doubts. And all of the major successful people in life have had those doubts, you know, but you have to fight through them. The wins are the wins. The losses are the losses. The highs, the lows are the lows. You just go through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a great quote. We're going to end on that.
Should we end on that? Let's do it, baby.
That's good. That's good. All right, guys. Thank you so much for chiming in today. Anthony Awadala. Anthony, can you please tell everyone, or Tony, Anthony, whatever you want to call him. He'll answer to anything at this point. But Tony, why don't you tell us, how can people reach you? Website, phone, all the above. I'm going to give you your cell phone number if you don't, so they can harass you. But, you know, tell them people how they can get in contact with you. And if you don't have videos for your company, give Tony a call. He'll advise you and he'll let you know whether he thinks it's a good idea or not. But you need to look into that. This is a digital age. If you haven't already, we're deep in COVID. If you haven't started doing this now, your company probably is actually shut down. So, you know, like, give Tony a call so he can maybe help you reopen.
Yeah.
But why don't you give him your information?
So feelrightinc.com, that's our website, FeelRightInc. I'm sure you'll have maybe text. And then at feelrightinc is our Instagram handle. Yeah, man, give me a call, 949-292-3292. It's the same forward as it is backwards.
It is. That's funny.
There's a name for it, but
949-292-3292. Cool. Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you so much for chiming in. Cool.